Say hello to Colin. Hello, Colin.
Hello, everyone.
Come on in, those of you who are joining us live. And, we joke, Colin, on the think tank with our guests about, while we're waiting for people to come in and join us, can you give us a song or a bar or something? And you're actually somebody who can do that, right?
Yeah, you should have told me 5 minutes ago. My guitar's literally the other side of the door.
So tell us about your music, because you've been putting on concerts on Facebook for photographers and stuff like that, which has been amazing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've played music since kind of like my early teens, and then I was in an original band in North Wales for 10 years, and then as things do, people go different ways, kind of thing, and we just weren't practicing or playing anywhere. So I thought, I'm going to pick up my acoustic and just see what happens. And, bit of luck on my side. I managed to start playing on all the local pubs around here, anywhere from kind of Holyhead to Liverpool. I normally do about 50, 60 gigs a year. So busy at the weekends normally as well, which is good fun. But obviously this year's slightly different. So I went into the recording studio instead and recorded a song which I released last month, which has been
Excellent.
going well. Yeah.
And is that an original or is it a cover?
Yeah, no, it's original. So one I wrote 2 years ago, actually. Just for let's do it, let's put it down and, see what kind of reaction it gets. And yeah, I've been very fortunate to get on a few radio stations and a few people listen to it, which I'm, really appreciative.
Wow. So how do we listen to that? I wasn't aware of that you'd actually release something. So if we want to listen
Yeah. So if you just type in Colin T. Jones into Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple, or any of the major streaming ones, whatever you're on, and the latest song is called "With You." So
with you,
yeah. So
what was the inspiration for the song? Tell us.
You know what? It was just a story. Yeah. So kind of like, to be honest, I sat downstairs on the sofa, got some chords going, and the melody and lyrics kind of just fitted with the feel of the song, so no kind of like backstory to it or anything, but a lot of people seem to have really connected with it, which is amazing, because it was, as I say, just like a bit of a story, but people seem to be really connecting to the lyrics and taking it on as they wish, which is amazing. I love it.
Wow. And we hadn't had that conversation before we started, because we were just shooting the breeze, and
yeah.
What you discover, right? Well, a simple opening statement, and we end up there. But Colin, tell everybody before, because I went off on a tangent there. I didn't even introduce you properly. So tell everyone about your involvement in this wonderful industry of ours, and where you work and what you do. And
yeah, definitely. So I started off, my grandfather was a wedding and portrait photographer. My father then became a wedding and portrait photographer. And kind of like in the early 19s, when I was knee high to a grasshopper, my father became involved with the Master Photographers Association. And he later became the regional chairman of the Northwest region. So running all the seminars, and he got heavily involved with recruiting and all that kind of stuff for the MPA. Back in the day. And then to cut the story down into a nutshell, he then took over the SWPP and took full ownership of that, and built it up from roughly 500 to where it was now, to 5,000 members over the years. So I then got brought into the family business, so to speak, and we've been running conventions in London. We've got a range of benefits and membership to help photographers improve their photography in their business. And my kind of role within the association is to oversee everything. So, as a company director, I'm in charge of looking after the recruitment and the marketing and all the kind of business side of it. But we have a fantastic team back in the office that keep running the shop for us, which is amazing.
So you're in a really good place, Colin, to sort of, you probably have your finger on the pulse of what's happening in our industry, in so many different areas, because you're talking to the trade like us, about what's going on, and you're talking to your members that are across weddings, portraits, newborn, landscapes, events. They're right across the board, right?
Yeah, 100%. As you say, we're kind of fortunate in where we're positioned within the industry, that we get the feedback from the trade, and we also get feedback from our members and photographers in general. where the industry is sitting. So, we get to see a lot. And as you rightly said, we're not just weddings and portraits. We've got members which are corporate photographers, landscape photographers, nature, wildlife, and so the list goes on. So, we're seeing, some areas of the industry really thriving at the moment, even in this current situation we're in at the moment. And they're really, some are saying it's the busiest kind of like season they've had in a long, long time, whether that's just people backdated and, all bookings coming in at once kind of thing. And then obviously other parts of the industry that are still feeling the restrictions. So yeah, we're seeing kind of both sides of the coin at the moment.
So I'm presuming, like the photographers I talk to, it's the wedding guys and girls are really struggling badly, right? That because no fault of their own. It's just the venues are not going ahead or are limited. Are you seeing that too, or are you seeing pockets of different parts of the UK in different scenarios with regard to weddings?
Well, I mean, where we are in Wales, we're in obviously a 2-week lockdown at the moment, and other parts of the UK, they're in tier 1 or tier 3 or tier 2, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure it's the same with you in Ireland, that actually it's regional now, and everyone's, kind of like got different restrictions. But I'd say probably overall, UK wedding photographers, getting a wedding at the moment is, a bit of potluck. They're so few and far between, and obviously there's so many wedding photographers that are looking for business at the moment. The few weddings that are out there, they're getting snapped up quick. Quite a lot of people are, a lot of people, just really struggling because of the restrictions that are put in place by the government. We're trying our best as part of the coalition of photographers to help the government see that the event industry, the wedding industry as a whole, is a very viable business. But it's tough, for anyone at the moment. The lockdowns are just changing by the moment, and it's so hard to keep up with the restrictions, which is one thing. So yeah, the wedding photographers are really feeling it at the moment.
And what you mentioned, that there's some photographers doing really well. What are they tending to be doing in our industry?
So we're tending to find some of the portrait guys, portrait photographers are doing fairly well. Pet photographers, also corporate headshots is a real big industry at the moment. That's working really well, and I think it's kind of the case of using the skills that we already have and look at what opportunities there are out there. I said right from the start of the initial lockdown, great places to try and find work in the hospitality industry at the moment, because the rooms are empty. They're going to be looking, certainly maybe some of the smaller venues, to showcase how fantastic their venue is. They're going to need photographers to help them with their remarketing, because 2021 could be a very, very big year for weddings if restrictions are eased enough that people can start getting married again. So I truly believe that a lot of these wedding venues and florists and bridal gowns, all these people are going to be crying out for fantastic images that we may already actually have on file. One thing I was saying to our members is, if you've taken a wedding, late last year or maybe very early on in this year, and you have that beautiful picture of the bride in her gown, touch base with that wedding gown company. They might want to do something that's mutually beneficial, where they can recommend your services, use your picture, but obviously with your watermark on, and credit where credit's due. When people, I know we're focusing a little bit on weddings here, but when people are looking to book a wedding, generally, wedding hire, the venue, the dress, the flowers, they're all kind of top of the list. So what's a great thing for photographers to do is kind of market to that top of the list. So get in front of those florists, get in front of those wedding venues, make sure that they're mentioning your name first. And then when it comes to photographers, you're already being the back of the mind of the bride and groom, or the wedding couple. So it's kind of planting those seeds before they've got to that stage of thinking about photography as well.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's nearly pent up demand building, so that when we do get back into action as wedding photographers, we're probably going to be inundated
Yeah.
with inquiries and trying to reschedule the calendars and the diaries to align with what's available. And I think, that way, if there was venues that you're partnering with or shooting with, being part of that conversation can be critical, can't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Keeping in contact with the wedding suppliers in your area is going to be paramount to getting out of this. As a wedding industry, working together, with the venues, with your local florists and stuff like that. Because, as I say, they're all going to be in the same position that we're in, as a photography industry. They're going to be looking, to be as soon as the kind of starting pistol is gone, they're going to be wanting to go full flat out to make up for the time they've lost as well. So yeah, definitely, keep in contact with your local suppliers is a must to do in the wedding industry for certain.
And there's probably going to be a lot more midweek weddings because even the venues can only do so many Saturdays, right?
Yeah, well, that's it, and they may be smaller midweek as well. So, my advice would be to look at your packages, see what you can work out. I know typically many wedding photographers do have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday package and then a midweek package. You may have to up that midweek package a little bit because you might get inundated with people trying to book your midweeks. So, just see how the flow of bookings are coming in. And if you notice that there's a lot of bookings coming in midweek, that might be the chance for you just to up that package a little bit. There's no harm in that. If it's popular, people are willing to pay, then, make sure that you're getting the fair side of the deal on it.
And I think that's great advice, Colin, because, it's all the signals I'm seeing from the market is that the hotels are getting inquiries now from people trying to move into 2021. So if you have had a price list that had those cheaper midweeks because they just didn't exist that much, or the demand for them was much less, that's not going to be the case next year.
Yeah.
So do perhaps maybe in advance even readjust your price list that it's the same price regardless of the day of the week.
Yeah. And also chat with your fellow colleagues. There's one thing that I've noticed throughout this lockdown is that the photography industry is pulled together as one. And that was from day one. Yourself, Ronan, you've done a fantastic job at providing this content for the think tank group. And there's many others that have been doing, similar to what you're doing, the webinars and stuff. And really from day one, the photography industry came together as one and said, we're going to work on this together, which was fantastic to see. And I know photographers, maybe in the same cities or same areas as each other, speak to each other. If you're booked for that day, pass it on to your colleague, get them to do the same back to you. As you say, we may be looking for a very busy year, so get those lines of communication open that to say, I'm not going to be available on that Wednesday. Are you free? Maybe you'd take that, look for similar quality, similar styles. So you're passing the couples on to, a photographer that you can trust to do the job as good as you. But definitely, yeah, speak to your fellow colleagues is going to be another way forward, I think.
And Colin, you mentioned there about some family portrait photographers who are able to stay open are doing pretty well. What sort of feedback are they giving you around that, or are they giving any reason why they think that is the case, or?
No, not any particular reasons that I'm aware of, if I'm honest. As I said before, I don't know if that's just the build-up of kind of like, couples and families. I think this year again has taught us another thing is kind of reset our values on life. Many of us have been guilty of running around, working, and then you jump in your next thing to the oven. And this year, it's kind of everyone's put the brakes on and said, no, you've got to stay at home for those weeks or months or whatever it is for the lockdown. And I think family values has really come back out of that. Plus, we're obviously heading into the Christmas season, which is typically a very busy time for portrait photographers anyway. So I don't know if it's a combination of those two things that, people are starting to think of Christmas and presents. And if you're watching that now and you've got a portrait studio and you haven't thought about it, do that tonight, tomorrow morning, first thing, start thinking of your Christmas promotions, get that out, email your database. If you haven't got a database, get your database sorted, email all your past clients, get the word out that you can do sit-ins. We can very much work to the restrictions and get people in studios. If you haven't got a studio and you are a photographer, look around you. There's loads of places at the moment that are closed, church halls, community centres that aren't open. But I bet you bottom dollar and they'll hire out their hall for 50 quid for you. You can get 4 or 5 studio sittings in there in the day, and there you go. That, you know, you could do it over a weekend. You could do Saturday, Sunday, family sittings all day. You know, you can sort your schedule out. You can make your diary so there's half an hour between each session, or an hour between each session, whatever it takes you to, you know, fully clean the props that you've used, you know, and decontaminate everywhere. So you can work your diary out. But, you know, now is really the time to focus on those Christmas promotions. So, yeah, I think it might be just those two things. You know, family values are, you know, a lot more in the forefront of people's minds at the moment, and, you know, possibly a good run up to Christmas.
Yeah, and I think you're right on the family values piece, because I'm seeing this talking to different photographers all over the world, that I think it was Mary Fitz-Taylor, in fact, said to me that she saw a big upturn in business after 9/11.
Right.
And they concentrated on family portraiture, and she's seeing something similar now, that people are doing exactly what you just said, that they're seeing the importance of those significant relationships that they have, and they want to reflect that in memories that they'll have forever. So it's interesting. So you're right, you know, we should be thinking as photographers as to how can we align our business with that need, and how can we align our messaging and our marketing with that, if that's an underlying trend that's there.
I mean, one thing that's really popular this time of year as well, that as long as we get the weather right, which is not great in the UK here today, but you know, is autumnal portraits. They are fantastic portraits that people do hang up on the walls. We can do them very easily, socially distanced. You just have to get the weather right. You know, but start booking them in the diary. Again, they make fantastic Christmas presents. So when you're booking these in, start thinking of your marketing a bit further down the line. So it's not just getting the shoot in, thinking, well, I need to get the shoot in. They're going to come next week. I'm going to do the viewing, or, you know, whether that's digitally or in-house, whatever that may be. And then you're thinking, right, how can I upsell them? You know, can I mention that? Well, have you thought about a Christmas present for, you know, mum and dad? Have you thought about, you know, maybe a small frame for your desk at work, all that kind of thing. So you're planting the seeds in the head, you know, of your customers all the time about what products you offer and how they can be showcased, you know. And I really think autumnal portraits would be a fantastic line to go down at the moment. You know, it's socially distanced. It can be done outside. Yeah, it's just getting the weather right, which is a bit of a lottery at the best of times, to be fair.
And in parts of the US where they do have autumn, or fall as they call it, you know, it's really popular, you know, because they're great backdrops in different colors. And I know we have some challenges with weather, and some days it might lash rain and you may have to reschedule. But if we're restricted from being in studio anyway, isn't it better to be able to have a moving calendar, or a moving diary, as we say,
yeah, 100%.
in Europe? Because the Americans laugh at me when I use the word diary, Colin, because a diary to them is a teenage girl, right?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
It's quite funny. I'm always getting slagged by our American colleagues, going, "Ronan, are you a teenage girl?" I said, "Girl, seriously?" But yeah, so it's amazing. Even though we share a language, there's so many different nuances of differences.
I mean, the thing what I find really crazy is how different kind of our industry is in the US of A to how it is over here in the UK. Certainly, you know, big stuff over there, massive stuff, team portraits, massive industry. Over here, few and far between photographers doing it. I don't know why. You know, they do a lot of team sports photography as well out there. Again, a massive industry, but over here, very, very rarely see any of it. I don't know why. Don't know.
Yeah, I see some of it, and I think because we come with on our photo value brand, you know, we're very focused on university and school photography, and I see some of it there. But you're right, it's not as expansive as it is. But there are companies doing really, really well in certain niches in that area, and so it's yeah, but it's great, isn't it, to have a look around the world and see what different countries are doing, and seeing what we can learn from that. Because quite often, I don't know if you see this, but you see a closed mindset, or that only works over there because that's America, or that only works there because that's Australia. That won't work here.
And it's been like that for the last 20 years that I can remember, to be honest. It's always been the same. But, you know, people do make it work in different countries, and they may say the same out there, oh, that wouldn't work in the States, but it's got to be worth a try. Some things have got to be worth a try. Going back to team portraits in America, it's almost like part of growing up there. Just everyone gets it done. It's just part of being, that stage from going from teenage to adult. You get your portrait done, and that's why it's so much of a massive market, because it's just the thing to do. So it'd be amazing if we could somehow corner that concept over here, and get people really into that, because it's just that they're sittings waiting to be done. It's very much like the newborn industry I've got now, where it's becoming a lot more. I'm trying to think of the right word. A lot more people are thinking newborn photography. Certainly in their maternity days now, it's becoming a lot more common, a lot more. I'm trying to find the right word. It's kind of like it's just the thing to do, if that makes sense.
And it does take time for these things to get established, right? And quite often, in not just photography, every business, people give up too early. That you really do have. Yes, I know there's all that words about fail quickly and stuff like that, but you also have to give it long enough to give it a real try. And I think a lot of times we are all looking for a silver bullet, and there is none, right? We have to work really, really hard and pivot and change one thing and the nuances just to get it right. But you're right. Newborn came from nowhere.
10, 15 years ago, that wasn't a newborn photography, wasn't a kind of term that I can remember back from what I started about 15 years ago with the society. It's kind of around that time, but obviously I was still in the industry with my dad and everything, and that kind of newborn term just wasn't there. When now it's a massive industry, and people doing fantastic photography, and they've made it into their own, which is amazing. So they're the kind of ideas that I think I love to see kind of like expand and really start working. And again, I think newborn photographers are doing okay in the climate at the moment. I know that there's more safety measures they have to put in place, because you kind of do have to get quite close to do the work. But get your risk assessments done, make sure that you're providing a safe environment, and speak to the newborn photographers out there, and I think they're doing okay, to be honest.
Of course, the poor event photographers are, there's no events taking place, so they're struggling badly and continue. And we see that in our business too, because we sell a lot of mounts to event photographers. So, the commercial guys, have you many commercial members? What are you seeing in commercial photography?
Yeah, I think from the commercial photographers I've spoken to, nothing's really changed, if I'm honest. Especially if they're product photographers. A lot of them are doing it, off-site anyway. So, packages it. If it's small product, it's sent to their studio, their house, wherever they're running their business from, and they're just doing it by postal instead of going there. I've got one of our members and a close friend of mine. He's an automotive photographer. Nothing's changed for him. He's carried on. He said, if anything, it's been busier because they managed to get stuff through the system a little bit quicker than normal. So I think commercials kind of stayed almost kind of level, where stuff's just carried on. A lot of manufacturing has just carried on anyway. So I think the kind of that industry's just gone along with it, which is why I kind of touched upon before about thinking about maybe going shooting venues or places like this when they are closed, because there's still business there. There's still people looking for marketing opportunities and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of ties into the commercial landscape. So again, if anybody who's kind of watching, there'll be people out there that are looking for photography for their products, and that hasn't changed. And there's another one of our members, they photograph stuff for an eBay shop. It's still there. There's still people selling products and and creating new products as well, which all need professional photography to showcase how fantastic their products and services are.
Yeah, because I'm seeing something in the figures, the amount of startup small businesses that's happening now is greater than it's ever been. So there's a lot of people setting up businesses now, and they're going to need images that, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, not just for their headshots, for their website as to who they are as a brand, but also, if they're making particular products, they're going to want professional photography on that. Something that I saw, which was really, really interesting by a photographer, and I struggle with this myself because I'm not a photographer, was he started to offer in his BNI group how to light yourself for Zoom.
Right, okay.
And I went, that's clever, because you have all the skills of lighting, and you have CEOs of big companies and medium-sized companies who, want to be lit properly and looking at themselves in Zoom or Teams and they're dark and the stuff's not right. I went, that's clever.
Yeah, 100%. And just to touch on a point that we're just talking about then, if you are going to be touching base with potential new clients, certainly in the corporate and commercial sector, tell them the benefits of your photography. Don't pitch at them a price list or, what are the benefits to them? I'm going to make your product or your service look very professional. It's going to give the right brand messages. Find out what their brand messages are going in before you go and touch base with them. Find out if they're what demographic they're looking at. Are they looking to go for young adults? Are they looking to go for an older generation? Are they looking to go for people who are interested in hip hop, or are they looking for people who are in classical music? So then you can tailor that pitch to that company, rather than just going in and saying, I'm a photographer and I do this, and I've got these qualifications, and this is a sample of my work. Give them the benefits for them, not for you. Give them the benefits.
And I know, Colin, you're strong in this, as we are too, which is, have a look outside your industry to see what's happening. So as somebody who's been heavily involved in the music industry, what are your fellow musicians doing? Because the musicians who've relied on live gigs and stuff, that's closed off to a lot of them as well. So what pivots have you seen within that industry that we might be able to say, that's interesting? I wonder how would that apply to photography?
The music industry, very similar to the photography industry, has really been hit hard. As you rightly say, the live music is gone. I was hoping, I think England have maybe had a couple of smaller gigs here and there, but Wales, no live music since March, I think my last one was. And funny enough, I was speaking to someone who lives in Las Vegas on Sunday, and they said they're not even having live music at the moment. So it's really affecting the music industry massively. And unfortunately, there's no fantastic bright ideas coming out of the music industry that we can say, they've cracked it. They're really working it. I think the music industry are doing very much similar to what the photography industry is doing, and that happens more times than people probably realize. The music industry and photography industry really, with them being kind of like an artistic industry, and they kind of do sit side by side on quite a lot of things. I think a lot of musicians have just tried to keep up their profile over the last 6-7 months. That's certainly what I've been trying to do from that perspective. Keep your profile up, and if you can make some money streaming, even though it's pittance, try and push your track and all that kind of stuff. But no, I think with if I was a musician and I was looking full time, I'd try and do something like jingles or something like that. So still utilizing my core skills as a musician, that I know how to play music and write music and compose and all that kind of stuff. But instead of doing it for a pub in Rhyl or Llandudno, I could compose a song for a jingle for a radio station. So I'm still using my skills, but I can do that online digitally. So how do we get that to translate from music to photography? And it's, touching on what you kind of really just said then, maybe just touching out, reaching out to your clients and saying, I can help you light for, Zoom meetings, or just, you're getting your website refreshed. Have you thought about re-updating your headshots on your website? I can make them all consistent and fitting in with your brand image. And, we can talk about what style you want, what's the theme of your website. So yeah, as you said before, looking outside of kind of just our industry, the photography industry, look at what other people are doing. Everyone's adapting at the moment. But yeah, there's definitely still a massive market for photography. We just have to find where those pockets are.
And I think you're right too. The headshots thing is going to be a big requirement because, there's going to be a couple of requirements, and I see it breaking down to two. I see the small business owner who's under pressure now to connect with their clients online, on social media, on their website, and they're going to want not just one image that they might have got for their passport, right? But
Yeah,
they're going to want a collection of images that show them in different style and different places. And then the other person you're going to have is, unfortunately, loads of people are going to lose their jobs. There's going to a lot of jobs lost. So they are going to want a good profile for their LinkedIn and their CVs and stuff, and good profile pictures. I think it's true not to put the headshot into that. They're both the same things. Yeah, they're different things, aren't they?
But likewise, as you say, people are going to be looking for new profile pictures for their LinkedIn. Likewise, the companies are going to be looking for new headshots for their website or for whatever that may be. They'll need a professional headshot. If you're becoming the marketing ambassador for this big company, they'll want your headshot. There's going to be all those opportunities as well for refreshing their marketing. So as you rightly say, LinkedIn is a fantastic place to brand yourself as a head corporate headshot photographer and really work that niche.
Absolutely. So, Colin, let's talk about the coalition of photographers or photography. Is it photographers or photography?
Coalition of photographers, yeah.
Photographers, it is photographers. Yeah. Sorry, apologies for that slip. So just tell us about the coalition of photographers and what the mission is and what the aim is.
Yeah, so in essence, I think it must have been nearly 2 months ago now. We're really seeing it, and certainly our members, and I know a lot of members of other associations, were really starting to feel the pinch of the restrictions that were put in place, certainly in the UK, by the government here on wedding industry. So they kind of, there's the suggestion, why don't the associations come together as one, and see what we can do. So we said, great, jumped on a Zoom meeting and we just thrashed out ideas, and we spoke quite openly and honestly about, where we were up to, where our members were up to. And we got to the consensus that that there was just no fair play within some of the restrictions that will be in place, certainly on the wedding industry. So, for example, in England, weddings are restricted to 15, funerals are still up to 30. However, you could go to your local Wetherspoons and sit with 80 other people. Certainly within the kind of that side of the hospitality industry, the pubs, the clubs, they were kind of left to work out their capacity as a venue on their own, so they could do their own risk assessment and then say, our venue is safe for 50 people, our venue is safe for 80 people or 20 people or whatever the case may be. Where in the wedding industry, it was imposed upon them. So they could have a wedding venue and we've got some massive wedding venues around the country that can hold thousands, normally. So they may be able to see 90, 100 people very safely with no kind of restrictions at all, but they're still restricted to 15. So you could have this massively open space with 15 people in it. And what we were calling on the government for was just some parity within the industries, whether that's a pub or a club or a bingo hall or a cinema, or just to be the same as a wedding. The venues are used to working within restrictions anyway, but they just seem to be really hamstrung. So down to 15, So what our first objective was to lobby the government. So we did that by getting all our members, customers. We got fantastic support from the industry, from labs and printing companies and insurance providers and accountants and people, all the kind of people that work for photographers. Contacted all their customers as well as the organizations contacting their members, and just said, on this Friday, just pop a letter in the post but just, with the key details. And, hundreds and hundreds of letters were all sent out on one day. And the idea of that was to show a kind of short, sharp shock to MPs and people in government that, they're going to receive, 100 letters in one day and go, right, this is something I need to look at, where, I'm sure we've all done on our own. We've sent a letter, and then 2 months, 2 weeks down the line, someone else has sent a letter, and it's, there's time in between, people forget. So our kind of initial idea was just to get that kind of overwhelming response to the government, that we needed fair play within the regulations. And I think that worked to some extent. We certainly got a lot of MPs replying to us to say that they were going to bring it up. Unfortunately, I think the timing coincided with kind of like these tier systems coming out in the UK. So it might have kind of been slowly forgot about over the last couple of weeks. So, we're going to be working on phase 2. We're not going to get an instant response. We knew that kind of going in. So, we're going to be rolling out the next phase. And I think it's going to have to be a continual program of, working together, certainly in the short term until we're out of this, and maybe even a longer term until the industry's really settled again. But I do have to say this: the group that we got together, it was fantastic to be part of the kind of the team really working behind the scenes to really help photographers out there, whether you're a member of us or you're not a member of us, or you're a customer of 3XM, or you're not a customer of 3XM, or you're not a customer of anyone and you're not a member of anyone. We were just trying to help any photographers out there, just to get their voice heard, really. And we're still working away in the background. We've got a meeting in a couple of weeks, I think next week, to catch up again. And it's got to be a rolling program of just keep knocking on that door until somebody answers. So we're in it for the long game, in other words.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long game, right? There's not going to be an overnight solution to this, but it's looking in from the outside. It's great to see, and we did our whatever we could by emailing all of our databases and stuff to get people into the group. And of course, I have your profile, whatever it is, around my Facebook
the
and all
frame
that.
thing, yeah.
The frame thing, I'll do whatever I can to help. But what I really liked was I loved the idea that rather than sending an email, that it was a letter, because I this visualization of an MP or whoever getting, a couple of hundred letters in front of them, which they should have had if everyone took action, which is great to see, and it also is going to, I think a letter is so much more powerful than an email. So I think you did a great job with coming collectively together, and that being the strategy. I agree the timing was probably, you couldn't have planned for that because you didn't know what was going to happen.
I know. And to be honest, it's been like this for months now, where there's something every week coming up, isn't it? And to be honest, regulations are changing every week. The other thing we're certainly looking at, and I know the other organisations are, is what help there is out there for people who cannot work. If you are a wedding photographer and that's what you've built your business on, we're looking for what help there is out there, and speaking to, our colleagues in, in accounting firms and stuff like that, they're saying that the regulations for them and the help, what's out there, that's changing on a day by day basis, so it's even tough for people who were doing this as, as a day job of accounting, trying to find, funding and grants and all that kind of stuff. They're just struggling to keep up with the amount of information coming out there. But I'm sure, as everyone else is doing, as soon as we find anything, we're posting it up and sharing it to, to give everyone a chance of grabbing any funding or any help that they can get.
And there's different funding in different regions, right? So Scotland might take a different approach to Northern Ireland, a different approach to Wales, a different approach to England.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even in some circumstances, it's coming down to county council level again, so it could be different in where we are in Denbighshire to, Conway, which is our neighbouring county. So again, it's a very confusing, kind of play. It's not a marketplace, but a very confusing world out there at the moment, and certainly when we've got members in, every region of the UK, we've got members in Ireland and Malta and USA and Australia, trying to touch base with all of them is it's so hard, and find the right the right help that they need. Because as I say, it's even different on county basis. Never mind saying, well, if you're in England wedding photographer, then this is the help you can apply for. And if you're Wales, there, and you can't even do that at the moment because it's just different for everywhere.
So, Colin, are you having any feedback from your members about photographers sort of saying, do you know what, I'm going to have to do something else right now and try and get another job? Are you seeing much of that feedback? Or
yeah, unfortunately, we are seeing that. People. I felt the first lockdown, or the first initial stage of this in late March, early April. People saw that kind of light at the end of the tunnel. We'll hunker down for a bit. It's fine. We'll go into lockdown for 3 weeks. I'll lose that business for a month or so. And that went on a little bit longer than everyone expected. And at the very start of that, people were nervous. But I think after a couple of weeks, people kind of settled in, and they readjusted their life to make that work short term. But I think the second one, I think people have just gone, I can't do it again. I can't go through that again. And it's really hard because there's only so much we can all do, which is why I think I'm sure everyone heard about the government's kind of response of retraining. I don't think retraining is the right thing. I think just using your skills to a different part of the industry. Like I was saying about music, I've lost my pub gigs. I could sit and write jingles all night instead, to make up for the shortfall. Photographers, I think, photographers could look at different areas. Some may work, some might not work, but we've got time on our hands to test the water, so to speak. If you've got a massive passion for something, start photographing that, and see if you can make a viable business out of it. One member that springs to mind is Terry Donnelly. He's got red squirrels in his garden. He's been photographing them all year. Now he's selling calendars and all that kind of stuff. And he's got his own Facebook page. He's got his own Instagram. He's got his own Twitter. To be fair, he's really started the ball rolling on this. He was doing calendars last year, but he's taken it to kind of like another dimension. Having its own kind of brand, so to speak. And this is stuff that he can do in his garden. He's very fortunate enough to have red squirrels jumping around in his garden. But over the course of the last, I think he'll probably tell me I've said wrong, but certainly over the last 18 months, I've seen his photography of red squirrels. He's worked out different prop sets for them now. So he puts, Tonka toys in where they're jumping around and stuff like that, and gets the camera set up. So, he's really taking it to that next level. So, now when he comes to sell the product, whatever that product may be, in wedding photography, it's albums, in his case, it's calendars and stuff. He's got something to sell that is, kind of socially distanced, safe, and, hopefully bringing in a bit of much needed cash for him. So I hate the expression thinking outside the box, because it's so, said so many times, and, what does it actually mean? But I think in this case, Terry's thought outside the box. What can I do? What can I do to bring in money at the moment? And that's a safe and viable way of bringing in business at the moment.
I love it. And it is a cliche, think outside the box, but it is about that, isn't it? It's about making a list of what your skill sets are, and then trying to align some opportunities that there may be, and how do they fit together,
And I think, for photographers, because generally photographers are, one person working on their own, they actually have a lot of other skills outside of photography. We all become SEO experts. We all become website experts. We all become marketing experts. Package that up for someone, because there might be as you said, a new business, startup, somebody who may be fantastic at making perfume or candles or something like that, but don't have any of these other skills. Well, help them design a website. If you've done your own, help guide them. And then you sell your photography as part of that package. I think that that's one massive thing that the photographers really do have, is that they have so many skills. Social media, So many of our members are social media experts. They know how Facebook works. They know how LinkedIn works. So use that to your advantage. There's businesses out there who would love to know, the secrets to social media and how to make their Facebook page. And also, you can say to them, well, my photography complements your social media strategy that we're going to design for you, because at the moment you're taking pictures of your products on your kitchen counter. Well, actually, we're going to bring all your products into the studio. We're going to put them into a lighting booth. We're going to light them properly. They're going to look fantastic. We can do cutaways with them. We can superimpose them onto this or that, or you can package that up. And then what we're going to do, we're going to give you some ideas on some of the strategies on how to market this on Facebook afterwards. These are the advertising ideas that we use. So you give them a little bit extra, but you're selling your photography as part of that package.
So you're sort of selling the sizzle, not the sausage, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about. And using the skills that we've all got. As I've said many times just in the last couple of minutes, photographers do have so many skills, business skills, that some people might not have. So, use it to your advantage. Think what you're really good at and how your photography can be included in that.
Excellent. So how do you feel about the future then of our industry, because it's a really important industry that we do, and we make a real difference to society. So what if you could get out Colin's crystal ball, right? what are you seeing in the future?
I'm still remaining very positive about the future of the photography industry. Yes, we have been hit hard this year. At the start of the year, I'd probably say, the end of December last year, start of January this year, there's a lot of excitement in the industry. People were really positive about this year. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out the way they were hoping, but there was a real excitement and quite a buzz about the industry that everyone was really hopeful that it was going to be a real good year. And I think we might have hit the pause button on this, but we've not hit the stop button. We've had to pause it this year. To some extent, cogs are still turning in the background, but I'm still really positive. If we can get these restrictions eased, and have a safe, maybe spring, summer next year, so we can get some weddings through, get people back into the studio. People, the industry is going to be busy next year. It's going to be really busy, and I'm really hopeful. And I said this right from the start of the very first lockdown, that 2021 was going to be the year that we all make up for 2020. And it affects everyone in the industry. It's not just photographers. Photographers feed the industry, so we need photographers to be out shooting, because without photographers going out there earning their crust, so to speak, then the money's not fed throughout the industry, whether that's buying albums or paying memberships or insurance, or we're really keen to see a busy 2021. But I'm very positive. I think that it could happen. I think it could be a very busy year. 2022 again will be another busy year. I've heard some people are knocking 2021 back onto 2022. So we might end up having two bumpy years. So be prepared. Another thing I said right from the start of the very first lockdown was to utilize the amazing opportunities that the photographers got out there at the moment. They've got all the webinars on the Think Tank Facebook group. Many other companies have been doing webinars. There's so much information out there. Improve your skills overall, whether that's in your business or whether it's in your post-production. Get those post-production times narrowed right down, so you're not sat behind your computer for hours at a time. And that feeds into your lighting and posing. Learn, refine your skills on lighting and posing, so you can get it right in camera. So again, you're not sat behind your computer, so you can move on to your next job quicker. So get those processes really firing on all cylinders. Because
we're going to have to be more productive, aren't we, when this demand comes through? We can't do it the old way. So you're right. If you're staying in this industry, and I hope you all are, use this time to get your processes right, to get your systems in place, that you can handle double what you're currently doing, because that or you do in normal times? I mean, not what you're currently doing, but what you do in a normal year, because there could be double the weddings next year. So you put your systems in place now.
Exactly what I was just going to say. If you're shooting 30 weddings a year, expect to get between 45 and 50. That would be my ballpark figure. So you're thinking, if I'm hitting that top end of 50, you're going to be near enough out every weekend of the year, or at least, every week you're going to be out shooting. So you're going to have a week to edit, get your camera gear ready for your next wedding, do your consultations for all the other weddings, do your phone calls for all the other weddings, and everything else in between about running your business, carrying your SEO, your marketing, your website, your social media, and everything else in between. You need to get those skills refined so you're not wasting time editing, or you're not wasting time working out what's the best social media strategy. Work that out now, so when you get there, you've got all that knowledge just to go straight in. Because you could be out shooting at least one wedding a year.
I think the other important
wedding a year. Sorry, wedding a week. We're talking about 2020 figures then.
And I know we tipped on it earlier, Colin, but another important thing is pricing, right? Because I hear a lot of photographers saying, "Oh, I have to get ready to cut my prices to get some work in." No, don't. Don't.
Again, you said it. Look outside the industry. I don't know what it's like over with you, but house prices in the UK are flying at the moment. They are going up in price, up in price. They've not come down because of everything else what's going on in the world at the moment. So don't be afraid. There's one photographer that did a seminar for us years and years ago, and they said, if someone's buying your top package, then you're too cheap. That top package has got to be out of reach all the time. And if someone's buying it, up it until somebody at one point says, no, I can't afford that. Then you're at the right price point.
That's right. It's price anchoring, I think, is the technical term on it. So
there you go then.
Your price anchoring package that you don't intend selling, but it's there to anchor the value in the rest that's there. So it's absolutely great advice.
Yeah.
So Colin, just so you see a bright future then for the photography industry. Yes, we've a lot of pain right now, but we got to use that time if we can. Stick with it. If we don't, have to go and get a job somewhere else to fine tune ourselves for the wave of work that's coming. So talking about waves, right? I think I didn't mean to use that analogy, but you're a man of many talents and giving to your community and all that. So we've talked about your involvement as a director of SWPP in the societies, and we've talked about your music talents and releasing your song, but you also work for the lifeguards, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm a volunteer crew member for the RNLI in the UK. Yeah.
Wow. So tell us a little bit about that, because I think that will fascinate people. Like when you see it on the news and all those big waves, and you're in your orange life jackets and putting your life on the line to save people,
Yeah, I mean, I certainly feel very privileged to be part of the crew here in Rhyl. I've been a crew member now for the past 13 years. In Rhyl, we've got an inshore lifeboat, which is like a rigid inflatable boat, so a little rib, and we also have a all-weather lifeboat. So we used to have anyone who used a lifeboat spotter, we used to have a Mersey class lifeboat, and now we've just we got last year the Shannon class lifeboat, which is the brand new jet-powered lifeboat, which is like £2.3 million worth of kit and all singing and dancing, tech-wise, fantastic piece of kit. So, yeah, so it's a fantastic thing to be part of. As I say, I feel really privileged to be part of the crew. I'm also very lucky that not only do I live very close to the station, but I also work very close to the station. So I'm fortunate to get on quite a lot of the shouts down there. So I became a helm on the inshore lifeboat, so I can take that out under command and command the search and rescue operations on that. And on the all-weather lifeboat, I'm a navigator, and I'm just on my way of doing a mechanics plan as well. So,
wow.
So the great thing about the RNLI is that there's so many opportunities for, personal development. So, I was never really interested in mechanics, but the opportunity came up to tinker with engines, so I took it, and learning all about the mechanics of diesel engines and all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting, and Yeah, it just interests me, and then it gives great scope to the crew that there's more mechanics on station, and yeah, just
So,
another little feather in the cap.
so tell us, what's the scariest moment that you've had yet?
I do know, and that's quite a common question that we get, but I think the training that we get and the equipment that we get given and the PPE and all that kind of stuff, it's just so world class that even on the kind of roughest nights, you're secure. You feel secure. I mean, we went out once to a tanker off Llandellis, which is 7-8 miles to the west of us, here in Rhyl, and that was forced tank conditions, so it was really blowing quite hard. The tanker was up against the beach, so he had on top of the kind of bad weather, he had all the surf, and it was a real rough night. But even then, you're just so confident in the equipment. I think the crew would fail first before the boat does, kind of thing. Certainly coming out with through bruises in the morning from hitting the waves and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, I genuinely believe that the equipment that we get given is so good, and the training. We usually train every Tuesday and every Sunday morning. So Tuesday night, Sunday morning, twice a week. So
Wow.
everything just comes second nature to you. You're just so used to, someone says do this, you just go and do it. You don't think about it because you're just so well trained.
Well, thank you, because you do, as a crew, you put your lives on the line to save others, so thank you for that job you do. To get back to our wonderful industry, the photography industry. So you guys run the #1 convention in the UK every year.
Sure.
It's normally in January, but I think you moved it to March 2021, the next one, right?
Yeah.
Is
So
that still floating because of this, or where are
yeah.
you with
So
that?
so the dates are confirmed. They're firmly planted in the diary. The venue's booked. I think we're probably going to be waiting until December to make an official announcement. Either way, it's we're fortunate that we've run the event now for the past 20 years. The team that we've got in the office, that they're all highly experienced in organising the events as well. So like 8 years is like the least amount of time that one of our staff has been a member of staff with us. So we're very highly experienced as a team as well. So we can pull off the event quite quickly. It might be a few sleepless nights, but we're certainly aiming for March, and that's certainly within our sights. And we'll just have to see kind of what restrictions lie at the end of kind of like end of December, and see how quickly we think we can pull it together. I think we need 2 months as a minimum, to get confirmation and get the trade booked and stuff like that. But I know so many people are so keen for the event to happen that if we did drop it on the trade, I'm sure they would pull every string possible to be there and be part of the event. Because I was saying to someone else the other day, I said it's not just going to the master classes and going to see the trade and see what new products are out and how the trade can help you. But it's also meeting up with your fellow colleagues around the bar, having a beer, and so many friendships have been made around that bar that now over the course of the year they're ringing each other up, and they're meeting up, and they're maybe not so much this year, but they normally plan a night out, or I'll come up and visit you. And that's fantastic to see, photographers, not just sharing, the passion of photography, that we all love, but, just becoming great friends and, looking after each other. So yeah, we can't wait to get back into London, share a beer with everyone. It will be a party if we can make it happen. I can guarantee that.
Absolutely. It will be a party, and every photographer all over the world, I think we can't wait till we can all meet each other in person again and have those conversations and drink those beers and compare notes and everything else. So I'm looking forward to the day where we get over this, we defeat this virus, and we get back to the new normal, whatever that might be.
I want the old normal. The old normal was fine. I was happy with that one. But I mean, it's another good point to anyone watching, is to speak to the trade as well. So if you're sat there scratching your head thinking, what can I do? The trade, certainly people like yourself, Ronan, we're out on the road all the time normally, speaking to people, and we get to pick up tips and tricks, and we know what people are doing. So don't be afraid to reach out to, whether it's one of the organizations, or whether it's Ronan, or it's the local retailer, or whoever it may be, because these people, they're out on the road and they're speaking to so many photographers. So if you've got a problem, the trade really are here to support you as well. So don't be afraid to reach out in an email, and touch base with someone. I'm sure you reach out to any of the ones that we work with regularly, and they will be more than happy to to help you and give you some guidance and support wherever they can. So yeah, do utilize the trade. We're here to help you wherever we can.
Absolutely. We're in this together, and we'll come out of it together.
Yeah.
Colin, listen, thank you so much for everything you guys do at the societies and SWPP. Please give our love to everyone there. Also, thank you for everything you do, both for the industry, but also what you do for our communities with what you do. It's just amazing in that piece. And again, just remind us, what's the name of the song we need to check out on Spotify or whatever?
Yeah, it's Colin T. Jones, With You.
Okay, so there you go, guys. Check it out and give Colin some feedback. They can join the group, right? Or is that for members only? Is there a page or something for the societies or SWPP?
So yeah, we do have a members only Facebook group. We also have the societies, which is Societies of Photographers Facebook page. We've also got a 2-month free trial. So if you go on the societies.net, you can try us out 2 months completely free of charge. See if we're a good fit for you. If we're not, that's fine. It's all done through PayPal, so you're in control of the payments. So if you don't feel comfortable that you don't want to cancel through us, you can do it through your PayPal account. Or if you do enjoy it, then the membership just comes out monthly. So all the details are online. Or if you want to pop me an email, just colin@thesocieties.net, and I'll be more than happy to help.
Great. Thanks a million, Colin.
Stay
safe, stay healthy. See you again soon. Bye, everybody. See you on Thursday on the Think Tank, where we have the wonderful Ciara Derryberry joining us. I'm going to discuss a bit about what we discussed tonight, which is, how to build automation into your business as a photographer. And Ciara's also on the board of directors at PPA. So tune in for that one. We'll see you all. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night, good morning, good afternoon.